The cantina fell silent as the airlock hissed open. Every eye, sensor, and optical organ in the establishment turned toward the entrance, where a figure in a simple blue jumpsuit stepped through. The being was bipedal, roughly 2 meters tall, with pale pink skin and strange tufts of brown fiber sprouting from its scalp. Most unsettling of all, it was showing its teeth. HFY, a seasoned Veltar trader, nearly dropped his plasma torch. He'd heard the whispers, the rumors that had been spreading through the Outer Rim stations for cycles now. Stories of creatures from a world so hostile that merely existing there was considered impossible by galactic standards. A world the Galactic Council had classified as a Class 12 death world, the highest rating on the habitability scale. By the Void, whispered Crix, an insectoid Keth information broker, her compound eyes reflecting the cantina's dim lighting. That's one of them, a human. The human, for that's what the stories called these impossible beings, looked around the cantina with what appeared to be curiosity rather than the predatory assessment most sapients would expect from a deathworlder. Its facial expression remained unchanged, those teeth still visible in what the database entries called a smile. The sight made HFY's exoskeleton crawl. "Excuse me," the human said, approaching the bar with casual steps that somehow managed to be both graceful and purposeful. Its voice was surprisingly melodic, though every being in the cantina knew that Deathworld predators often used pleasant sounds to lure their prey. "I'm looking for transport to the Kepler station. Anyone here heading that direction?" The crystalline bartender Vorth managed to maintain his composure despite his faceted body refracting nervous light patterns. Perhaps. What world do you hail from, traveler?" "Earth," the human replied cheerfully, settling onto a bar stool that groaned ominously under what must be incredibly dense muscle and bone. "Beautiful place. Bit of a fixer-upper when we first evolved there, but we've grown quite fond of it." A collective shudder ran through the cantina's patrons. Earth. The name had become legendary in certain circles, a world where the very atmosphere was corrosive poison to most life forms, where the stars' radiation regularly bombarded the surface, where tectonic activity constantly reshaped the landscape, and where the native life forms had evolved into an endless arms race of chemical warfare, predation, and survival strategies so extreme they defied belief. "Your world," Vorth began hesitantly. "The reports say it has weather patterns that can generate kinetic forces measured in the millions of energy units." "Oh, you mean hurricanes?" The human's expression brightened, another alarming display of dental weaponry. "Yeah, we get some pretty impressive storms. I actually went storm chasing as a hobby back in college. There's nothing quite like standing in the path of a tornado and feeling that raw power. Really gets the adrenaline pumping." Crix's translator struggled with the concept of adrenaline for a moment before settling on combat enhancement biochemical. The idea that this creature actively sought out planetary-scale destruction for entertainment was beyond comprehension. "Storm chasing?" HFY found himself asking despite his better judgment. "Sure. You get in a vehicle and drive as close as you can to these massive rotating air columns. Some of them can level entire cities, but the data you can collect is incredible." Plus, the human's grin widened impossibly. "It's a fantastic adrenaline rush, though not quite as exciting as when I went volcano surfing on Maui." The cantina's environmental system struggled to process the sudden spike in stress pheromones from dozens of different species. Volcano surfing. This creature had somehow found a way to use planetary geology as a recreational activity. A nervous flim merchant finally worked up the courage to speak. "The archives say your species lacks natural armor plating, toxic secretions, or even basic electromagnetic defenses. How do you survive such a hostile environment?" The human tilted its head thoughtfully. "Well, we're pretty adaptable. When we encountered venomous creatures, we learned to milk them and make antidotes. When we faced predators with massive claws and teeth, we invented bigger claws and teeth. We call them tools. When our world tried to freeze us, burn us, crush us, or poison us, we just got more creative about survival." "Creative?" Vorth asked weakly. "Oh, absolutely. Like when we figured out how to split atoms for energy, or when we tamed microorganisms to help us digest food and fight diseases, or when we started launching ourselves off our world in controlled explosions just to see what was out there. The human gestured broadly, and several patrons flinched. Curiosity is probably our most dangerous trait, honestly. Zexhi's mind reeled. They didn't just survive their death world, they had made it work for them. They had turned their planet's attempts to kill them into technological advantages. "I have cargo transport to Kepler Station," Zexhi heard himself saying. "Departure in 6 standard hours." Fantastic! The human's enthusiasm was genuinely terrifying. "I'm Sarah, by the way. Sarah Chen. I'm a xenobiologist. I study alien life forms. This is my first time off-world, and I have to say, meeting all of you is incredibly exciting. I've been wondering, do any of your species have interesting defense mechanisms? Paralytic toxins? Acid secretions? Explosive organs?" As Sarah continued her cheerful interrogation of the cantina's patrons, asking detailed questions about their biology with the innocent enthusiasm of a child and the focused intensity of an apex predator, one thing became crystal clear to everyone present. The galaxy's most dangerous worlds hadn't created monsters. They had created something far more terrifying: optimistic, curious, friendly monsters who considered planetary-scale disasters to be mild inconveniences and saw the universe as one giant, fascinating playground waiting to be explored. By the time Sarah finished her drink, which had been intended for silicon-based life forms and should have been instantly lethal to carbon-based biology, half the cantina's patrons had found urgent business elsewhere, and the other half were too paralyzed with fascination to leave. As Zexhi watched this impossible creature from an impossible world discuss the finer points of volcanic activity with a methane breather while casually ignoring the toxic atmosphere that would kill most species in minutes, he realized something that would haunt his dreams for cycles to come. Humanity hadn't just survived their death world. They had thrived on it so completely that they were now ready to make friends with the entire galaxy, one terrifyingly cheerful conversation at a time.